If I had shut that closet door just 2 minutes earlier, maybe none of this would have happened. Maybe Mom wouldn't have looked at me the way she did, with that mixture of shock, disbelief, and something I couldn't name. But the truth is she did catch me. And once that happened, there was no turning back. My name is Alex. I'm 17 years old, the kind of kid who blends into the background at school and avoids unnecessary attention. Quiet, cautious, always trying not to make mistakes, that's me. But everyone has a secret, and mine had been building for years, hidden away in corners I thought no one would ever check. It wasn't dangerous, it wasn't illegal, but in my world it felt forbidden. I couldn't explain to anyone why I sometimes found myself drawn to my sister Emily's side of the closet. She was 2 years older than me, confident, outgoing, the type of person who could make friends in an instant. Maybe part of me wanted to borrow that confidence, and the clothes were just the bridge. It started small. A bracelet here, a scarf there. At first, it was only curiosity. What would it feel like to wear something delicate, something not mine? But curiosity has a way of pulling you deeper, like a tide. Before long, I was sneaking into her room whenever I could, carefully choosing dresses, skirts, even shoes, just to see myself differently in the mirror. Each time I promised myself it was the last. Each time I broke that promise. And then came the afternoon when everything spiraled. Emily was out with her friends. Mom was supposed to be grocery shopping. The house felt empty, safe. I slipped into my sister's closet, closing the door behind me as though I were stepping into another world. My hands shook a little as I pulled a pastel dress off its hanger, the fabric whispering as it slid free. I held it up against myself, heart pounding, and for a moment the reflection in the mirror seemed like someone else entirely, someone braver, lighter, freer. I never heard Mom's footsteps in the hallway. The closet door creaked open, and there she was, my mother, frozen in place, her eyes locked on me as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. I froze too, dress halfway over my shoulders, breath caught in my chest. The silence stretched so long I thought I might suffocate in it. Then she whispered my name. Alex. It wasn't anger in her voice. It wasn't disgust either. It was something softer, layered with confusion and concern. But for me, it felt like the ground had been ripped away. My secret was gone. The walls I had built around it had collapsed in an instant. I didn't know it then, but that moment standing in my sister's clothes with my mother staring at me was the beginning of everything. The beginning of a journey I never planned, one that would change how I saw myself, how my family saw me, and what it really meant to be accepted. Mom's voice still echoed in my ears long after she had spoken my name. Alex. Just one word, but it carried the weight of discovery, of questions I didn't want to answer. My first instinct was to run, to rip the dress off, shove it back into Emily's closet, and pretend nothing had happened. But my body didn't move. My hands clutched the fabric tighter, as if holding onto it would keep me grounded in the storm that had suddenly erupted around me. Mom took a slow step forward. Her eyes softened, though her brows were still furrowed in confusion. Sweetheart, what are you doing? My mouth opened, but no sound came out. How could I explain the countless afternoons I had spent here? How could I admit the quiet thrill I felt each time I tried on something that wasn't supposed to belong to me? The words tangled in my throat until they burned. I was just looking, I stammered finally, my voice barely more than a whisper. Mom's gaze flicked from the dress in my hands to the mirror behind me. The reflection told the truth I couldn't. I wasn't just looking. I was becoming. For a long moment she didn't speak. The silence was louder than anything else. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Then, finally, she sighed and sat down on the edge of Emily's bed. Come here, Alex. I hesitated, frozen in place, but something in her tone made me obey. I stepped out of the closet slowly, my legs shaking, the dress still hanging awkwardly from my shoulders. Mom looked at me for what felt like an eternity. Not harshly, not with judgment, but as though she were trying to read a story written across my face. You know you can talk to me, right? She said softly. The words almost undid me. I wanted to talk. I wanted to pour out everything I had bottled up, but fear held me back. What if this changed how she saw me forever? What if she told Emily? Or worse, Dad? I don't. I don't know why I do it, I admitted, voice trembling. It feels different. It feels like I trailed off, unable to finish the thought. Like what? Mom prompted gently. I swallowed hard. Like I can breathe. Like I'm not hiding. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. Alex, you don't have to hide from me. Those words, so simple yet so heavy, cracked something open inside me. I blinked back tears, but one slipped down my cheek before I could stop it. Mom reached out, brushing the tear away with her thumb. You're my child. That will never change. Clothes don't make me love you less. The relief was overwhelming, yet tangled with confusion. I hadn't expected acceptance not like this, not so quickly. But I could still sense her uncertainty, the quiet questions swirling behind her calm expression. She was trying to understand something she hadn't seen coming, and I wasn't sure I understood it myself. Mom didn't raise her voice. She didn't storm out or slam the door. Instead, she sat there quietly, her hands folded in her lap, as though she needed time to piece together the right response. That silence felt like a spotlight on me. I tugged at the dress nervously, half thinking I should rip it off and beg her to forget what she saw. But something in her calmness kept me still. Alex, she began finally, have you been doing this for a long time? My stomach tightened. Lying would have been easier. I could have said it was the first time, a silly dare I'd given myself, or even a mistake. But the look in her eyes told me she wanted the truth. So I nodded slowly. Since last year, I admitted, my voice barely audible. Whenever Emily wasn't home. Her eyebrows lifted slightly, but she didn't interrupt. I didn't mean any harm. I rushed on, words tumbling out faster than I could control. Sometimes when I wear her clothes, it feels like I can be someone else. Not the quiet, awkward kid everyone thinks I am. Just free. Saying it out loud felt dangerous, but also strangely relieving, like exhaling after holding my breath too long. Mom leaned back, absorbing every word. Then she asked something I never expected. Do you want me to help you? The question stunned me. My eyes widened, and I must have looked ridiculous standing there, mouth slightly open, hands clutching the fabric of the dress. Help me, I repeated, unsure if I'd heard her correctly. Yes, she said simply. If this is something important to you, you don't have to sneak around in the shadows. You don't have to do it alone. The room seemed to tilt. A part of me wanted to believe her instantly, to accept her offer and never feel that crushing guilt again. But another part feared what help meant. Would she tell Emily? Would she set rules? Would she treat me like a project? I don't know if I should, I whispered. Mom stood and walked over, placing her hands gently on my shoulders. Alex, you're my son. Nothing changes that. But if dressing this way makes you feel more like yourself, then I'd rather be part of it than pretend it isn't happening. Her words sank deep, leaving me speechless. No lecture. No punishment. Just an open door. She stepped back, her eyes thoughtful. Tomorrow, Emily has soccer practice. That gives us a few hours. If you want, we can try something together. The idea made my chest tighten with both excitement and fear.
Tomorrow.
That meant this wasn't over, it was only beginning. I nodded slowly, still unsure but unwilling to shut the door she had opened. Okay, I whispered. Mom smiled faintly. Good. Now, why don't you change back before your sister comes home? The spell broke. Reality rushed in, and I scrambled out of the dress, hanging it carefully where I had found it. My hands shook the whole time, but for the first time, I didn't feel like I was erasing a mistake. I felt like I was preparing for something new. That night, lying in bed, sleep refused to come. My mind replayed the moment over and over. Mom's voice, her calm eyes, her promise to help. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but I knew it would change everything. The next afternoon arrived faster than I was ready for. All morning my stomach twisted with nervous energy. I tried distracting myself with homework, scrolling through my phone, even pacing the hallway, but nothing worked. The thought of Mom's quiet promise we can try something together played in my head on a loop. By the time Emily left for soccer practice, my hands were clammy. I heard the front door close, her cheerful voice calling, "See you later," before fading down the street. Silence filled the house, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Mom appeared in my doorway a few minutes later, carrying a small box. She didn't say much, just gave me a reassuring smile and nodded for me to follow. My heart thudded louder with every step as we walked to her bedroom. When she placed the box on her bed, I realized it wasn't Emily's things inside, it was hers. A few folded tops, a pair of simple skirts, and a small makeup pouch peeked out. "I thought it might be better if we start with something that belongs to me," she explained gently. "That way, you don't have to worry about Emily finding out right now." I swallowed hard, touched by her thoughtfulness. You're really okay with this?" "I don't understand everything yet," she admitted, sitting beside the box. "But I do understand you're still my Alex. And if this helps you, then yes, I'm okay with it." Her words steadied me. "Here," she said, pulling out a soft blouse the color of pale lavender. "Try this first." I hesitated only a second before taking it. The fabric was lighter than I expected, almost weightless against my skin. Changing in front of Mom felt strange at first, but she turned away politely, giving me space. When I slipped the blouse over my head and smoothed it down, I caught sight of myself in the mirror across the room. The reflection startled me. I didn't look like the Alex I saw every day. I looked different. Softer. Mom turned back and studied me for a moment. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "That color suits you." Heat rushed to my face. Compliments weren't something I was used to, especially not like this. "Do you want to try the skirt too?" she asked carefully, holding up a simple knee-length one. My throat tightened, but I nodded. When I put it on and stood before the mirror again, the transformation was undeniable. It wasn't perfect, I still looked like me, awkward and unsure, but for the first time, I could glimpse the possibility of something more. Mom's expression softened even further. "You look happy." Was that what it was? Happiness? Maybe. My chest felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted. For so long I had carried this secret alone, convinced it would destroy me if anyone found out. Now here I was, standing in my mother's room, dressed in her clothes, and she was smiling at me. "Sit down," she said, patting the chair by her vanity. "Let's see what we can do with your hair." I obeyed, nerves buzzing again. She picked up a brush and began gently working through the tangles. The simple motion calmed me, reminding me of when I was younger and she used to brush Emily's hair before school. "You have good hair, Alex," she murmured. "Thick, a little stubborn, but it has potential." I chuckled nervously. Potential for what? She met my eyes in the mirror. "For whatever you want it to be." Those words echoed in my head as she parted my hair and tried different styles, pulling it back, pinning it loosely, then letting it fall forward again. Each change shifted my reflection, subtle but meaningful. For the first time, I didn't see just Alex, the quiet boy hiding in shadows. I saw someone who could step into the light. When she finally set the brush down, she reached for the makeup pouch. "Only a little," she said. "Just enough to see the difference." My breath caught as she dabbed foundation on my skin, smoothed it carefully, and added the lightest touch of color to my lips. The brush tickled, making me laugh nervously, but her patience steadied me. "Okay," she said at last, leaning back. "Look." I turned toward the mirror again. My reflection stared back at me, but not the same reflection I had always known. My features seemed softer, my eyes brighter, my expression more alive. "Mom." My voice cracked. I didn't know what else to say. She placed a hand on my shoulder. "Do you see now? There's nothing wrong with exploring who you are. You don't have to be afraid of yourself." Tears pricked at my eyes again, but this time they weren't only from fear, they were from relief, from gratitude, from the fragile hope that maybe I wasn't broken after all. I didn't move from the chair for several minutes, unable to pull my eyes away from the reflection in the mirror. The person staring back at me looked fragile but real, like a version of me that had been waiting a long time to step forward. My hands shook slightly as I touched my cheek, half expecting the makeup to smear away and break the illusion. Mom watched silently, her expression unreadable at first. Then she spoke softly. "You remind me of Emily when she was younger. Not because of the clothes," she added quickly when I stiffened, "but because of the way she used to light up when she felt comfortable in her skin. I see that same light in you right now." Her words struck me harder than I expected. A warmth bloomed in my chest, followed quickly by guilt. Emily didn't know. None of this belonged to me. I was stealing pieces of a life that wasn't mine. "I shouldn't be doing this," I whispered, breaking eye contact with the mirror. Mom crouched beside me, placing her hand gently over mine. "Why not?" "Because it's not who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be normal." The last word felt bitter on my tongue. "Alex," she said firmly, her voice stronger now. "There is no one way to be normal. You're my son. That's not going to change because you wore a blouse or let me put lipstick on you. Do you understand?" I nodded faintly, though doubt still clung to me. We stayed like that for a while until she finally stood and began putting the makeup away. "Emily will be home soon. Let's clean up." I changed back into my own clothes, folding the skirt and blouse carefully before returning them to the box. The magic of the moment faded, leaving behind a mix of relief and unease. That night at dinner, Emily chattered about practice, laughing at some inside joke with her teammates. Mom smiled and asked questions, her usual self, but every so often I caught her eyes flicking toward me. It wasn't judgment, it was something more complicated, something protective. Over the next few days, the secret between us grew heavier. Each time Emily left the house, Mom would quietly ask if I wanted to practice again. Sometimes I said yes, other times I panicked and said no. Each session built trust, but also raised questions I couldn't answer. Who was I becoming? And what would happen if Emily, or worse, Dad found out? The first real conflict came sooner than I imagined. It was a Saturday afternoon. Emily had gone shopping with her friends, Dad was working late, and the house felt safe again. Mom encouraged me to try a different outfit, a summer dress she'd kept from her younger years. It was soft, flowing, and made me feel like I was walking in someone else's story. She even gave me a pair of sandals to match. I twirled once in front of the mirror, laughing nervously at the sight, when the front door opened.
"Mom?"
"Alex?" "I forgot my wallet." Emily's voice. Panic shot through me. My stomach dropped as my eyes locked with Mom's. She moved fast, whispering urgently, "Go my closet now." I darted across the room, nearly tripping on the hem of the dress. Mom shoved the makeup pouch into a drawer just as Emily's footsteps pounded up the stairs. I pressed myself against the wall inside the closet, heart hammering so loud I was sure it would give me away. The bedroom door opened. "Hey, Mom, have you seen my..." Emily's voice cut off. I imagined her scanning the room, suspicious. My lungs burned as I held my breath. Any second she could pull open the closet door, and the secret would explode into the open. Mom's voice was calm, steady. "Your wallet's on the counter by the sink. You must have left it there."
"Oh."
Emily sounded distracted. "Thanks." Her footsteps retreated, then the front door shut again. I collapsed against the wall, shaking with adrenaline. Mom opened the closet door, her own face pale with relief. "That was too close," she whispered. Tears pricked at my eyes as I whispered back, "I can't keep doing this. What if she finds out? What if Dad finds out?" Mom pulled me into a hug, holding me tightly. "Then we'll face it together. But right now you're not alone anymore. Do you hear me? You're not alone." Her words steadied me, but deep down I knew the close call had changed something. The secret wouldn't stay safe forever. The days that followed the close call with Emily felt heavier. Every time she laughed at the dinner table or asked me to pass the salt, I wondered if she suspected something. Did she notice the way my eyes darted away, or the way Mom sometimes looked at me for a second too long? The secret that had once been mine alone now felt like a fragile balloon floating above the family, ready to burst at the slightest touch. One evening, while Emily was upstairs finishing homework, I sat at the kitchen counter pretending to read. Mom washed dishes at the sink, her sleeves rolled up, her expression thoughtful. She broke the silence with words that made my stomach tighten. "Alex, we can't keep hiding forever." I looked up sharply. What do you mean? She dried her hands with a towel, turning to face me. You deserve honesty. I know you're scared of Emily finding out, but living in fear isn't fair to you.
And it's not fair to me, either.
She's your sister. She loves you. Don't you think she deserves the truth? Her suggestion terrified me. Emily was the last person I wanted to know. She was bold, outspoken, the type who could cut through lies with a single glance. If she found out, she might tease me mercilessly or worse, tell Dad. No, I said quickly, shaking my head. Not yet. Please. Mom's face softened, but her voice stayed steady.
All right.
But Alex, this won't stay hidden forever. The longer we wait, the harder it will be. Her words lingered long after we went to bed. That night, I dreamed of closets with doors that wouldn't stay shut, mirrors that reflected strangers, and footsteps always coming closer. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. It was Saturday morning, bright and ordinary. Emily had gone to a study group, and Dad was working in the garage. Mom suggested another practice session, this time with more care. She had picked out a light summer dress, simple but elegant, with soft floral patterns. I hesitated, but the way she looked at me calm, supportive made me agree. We spent nearly an hour together. Mom guided me through small details, how to adjust the fabric so it fit more naturally, how to walk without tripping over the hem, how to hold my shoulders back. When she brushed a little color onto my cheeks and added mascara to my lashes, my reflection startled me again. Each time we did this, the line between imagination and reality blurred more. You're learning quickly, Mom said with a proud smile. I felt both thrilled and terrified. Thrilled that I could see a new version of myself in the mirror. Terrified that someone else might see too. That fear became reality when the bedroom door slammed open without warning. Emily stood there, backpack slung over one shoulder, her jaw dropping at the sight in front of her. For a few seconds, none of us moved. The air seemed to freeze, thick with silence, as Emily's wide eyes flicked between me and Mom. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought she might hear it. My hand shot instinctively to my sides, clutching the hem of the dress, as if I could somehow hide what was already fully exposed. Wow, what is going on here? Emily finally blurted, her voice a mix of shock and disbelief. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. My throat felt dry, my face burning hot. Mom stepped forward, placing a steadying hand on my shoulder. Emily, she said calmly, I can explain. Emily's eyebrows shot up. Explain? Explain why my brother is standing in my dress with makeup on? Are you kidding me? Her words stung, sharp as needles. My knees felt weak, and I wanted nothing more than to disappear into the floor. But Mom held her ground, her voice calm but firm. Alex has been exploring another side of himself, she said gently. He's been curious, and I've been helping him. Emily let out a disbelieving laugh, shaking her head. Curious? This is insane. You've been playing dress-up with him behind my back. The tears I had been holding back finally spilled over. Emily, please, I whispered, my voice trembling. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I wasn't trying to, I don't know, invade your things or anything. I feel different when I wear them. Her gaze softened slightly, but her arms remained crossed. Different how? The question hung heavy in the air. I struggled to put it into words. Like I'm not trapped. Like I can breathe. Like I'm someone I actually recognize for once. The silence stretched, broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioner. Emily's expression wavered, caught between anger and something else, confusion. Maybe, or curiosity. Mom broke the silence again. Emily, your brother trusted me. He wasn't ready to tell you yet. I helped him because I wanted him to feel safe, even in our own home. Emily exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. Safe?
What about me?
Do you know how weird this feels? Walking in on this on him like some stranger standing in my clothes. Her words twisted in my stomach. I dropped my gaze to the floor, wishing I could shrink smaller and smaller. I'm sorry, I whispered again. Emily took a step closer, her voice quieter now. Why didn't you just tell me? Because, I said, my voice cracking, I was afraid you'd hate me. That broke something in her. Her posture eased, her eyes blinking rapidly. She looked at me for a long moment, and when she finally spoke, her voice was softer. I don't hate you, Alex. I just don't understand. Relief washed through me, though it was tangled with guilt and fear. Mom squeezed my shoulder gently, as if to remind me I wasn't standing alone. Emily let out another breath, shaking her head. Dad can never know. Not like this. He wouldn't get it. Her words hung in the room like a warning, and I knew she was right. Emily's words, Dad can never know, echoed in my ears, leaving the room heavy with unspoken fear. I nodded slowly, my throat tight, while Mom gave her a knowing look. You're right, Mom said softly. Your father wouldn't understand, at least not yet. That's why it's important that the people closest to Alex show him compassion instead of judgment. Emily pressed her lips together, staring at me as though trying to read my soul. Her arms were still crossed, but her eyes had softened, no longer sharp with shock. I couldn't tell if it was pity, confusion, or something else entirely. I took a deep breath, forcing the words out. Emily, I know it's hard to see me like this. I know it must feel strange. But this isn't a joke or some game. It feels real to me, more real than anything else has for a long time. Her brows furrowed. So, what you're saying you'd rather be a girl? The bluntness of the question hit me like a wave. My mouth opened and closed, searching for an answer. Mom gave me a reassuring squeeze, but she didn't speak for me. This was my moment. I don't know, I admitted, voice trembling. Maybe not exactly, but when I look in the mirror like this, I see someone who finally looks like they belong. I don't know if that means I want to be a girl forever, or if I just want the freedom to feel this way sometimes. All I know is it feels right. Emily's eyes flicked down, studying the hem of the dress I was still clutching nervously. For a long moment she didn't speak. Then she sighed, dropping her arms to her sides. Okay, she said quietly. I still don't get it. But if it makes you feel like yourself, I guess I can try to accept that. A rush of relief made my knees weak, and I had to grip the back of the chair to steady myself. Thank you, I whispered, my voice breaking. Emily's lips twitched, almost forming a smile. But you owe me one. You can't just raid my closet whenever you feel like it. We're going to set some rules. The tension cracked just slightly, enough that Mom let out a quiet laugh. That's fair. But Emily, maybe you could also help him. You know makeup better than anyone, and… Emily raised an eyebrow sharply. Hold on. Are you saying you want me to what? Be his teacher? Mom gave her a small, hopeful smile. Why not? You've got the skills, and it might make this easier for both of you. Emily groaned, pressing a hand to her forehead. Unbelievable. My brother in my clothes, and now Mom wants me to give him beauty lessons. This family is insane. Despite her words, there wasn't bitterness in her tone. More like reluctant amusement. I looked up at her, my eyes still damp. I'd be grateful if you helped me, I said earnestly. I don't want to be a burden. I just want to learn how to do this the right way. Emily's gaze lingered on me, and finally, she shook her head with a resigned sigh.
Fine.
But if I'm going to do this, you're doing it properly. No half-hearted stuff. If you're serious, I'll show you what it really takes. Something inside me lit up fear mixed with excitement. The idea of Emily guiding me was terrifying, but also strangely comforting. She was my sister, and maybe if she was willing to help, then this wouldn't feel so lonely anymore. Mom smiled knowingly, as if she had orchestrated this very outcome from the beginning.
Good.
Then it settled. You two can figure it out together. I exhaled shakily, my heart pounding again, but this time from anticipation rather than shame. Maybe, just maybe, things were starting to change. The living room felt different after Emily's reluctant agreement. The tension had thinned, but it hadn't disappeared. I stood there awkwardly, still clutching at the hem of her dress, while she eyed me as though I were an alien that had landed in the wrong house. All right, Emily said finally, exhaling as if she were preparing for battle. If I'm going to do this, we're doing it properly. No half measures. That means clothes, makeup, hair, posture, everything. My stomach flipped. Everything. I repeated nervously. Emily smirked. That's what I said. If you want to look the part, you need to learn the details. You can't just throw on a dress and hope for the best. Mom nodded approvingly.
She's right, Alex.
If this is something you really feel strongly about, you should understand what goes into it. I swallowed hard, torn between dread and curiosity. Okay, I'll try. Emily raised an eyebrow.
No.
You don't try. You commit. Otherwise, it's a waste of my time. Her words landed like a challenge, and something in me rose to meet it. I straightened slightly, forcing myself to nod. Then I'll commit. Emily studied me for a moment, her eyes sharp, as if testing whether I meant it. Finally, she sighed and gestured toward the stairs.
Fine.
Go to my room. We're starting now. My legs wobbled as I made my way up the staircase, the dress swishing around my knees with each step. Mom stayed behind, giving me an encouraging smile as if to say, "You can do this." My heart raced, both terrified and exhilarated. When I stepped into Emily's room, she was already rummaging through her drawers, pulling out clothes with practiced efficiency. "Sit on the bed," she ordered without looking at me. I obeyed, perching nervously on the edge of the mattress. My reflection in her vanity mirror caught my eye: the dress, the smudged makeup, the uncertainty etched on my face. I looked like a scared child pretending to be someone else. Emily turned and tossed a bundle of fabric onto my lap. "Change into that." I unfolded it hesitantly, a soft lavender blouse and a pleated skirt that looked even more feminine than the dress I was wearing. My pulse quickened. "Do I really have to?" I began, but Emily cut me off with a glare. "You said you'd commit. This is part of it. Unless you're backing out already." Her words stung, but I shook my head.
No.
"I'm not backing out."
Good.
"Then get changed," she said, folding her arms. "I'll turn around." She pivoted, giving me privacy. My hands trembled as I peeled off the dress, the air cool against my skin. Sliding into the blouse and skirt, I felt a strange mix of humiliation and comfort. Humiliation because Emily was making me do it under her watch, but comfort because the clothes hugged me in a way that felt oddly natural. When I finally whispered, "Okay," she turned back, her eyes sweeping over me with a critical gaze. Not terrible," she said grudgingly. "But your posture ruins everything. Stand up." I obeyed, feeling like a marionette under her control. She walked around me in a slow circle, adjusting my shoulders, nudging my chin up, correcting the way my feet rested on the floor. "Relax your hands. You're gripping like you're ready to fight someone. Feminine gestures are softer, looser. Like this." She demonstrated, her movements fluid and natural. I tried to mimic her, though my arms felt stiff, my body resisting. Emily sighed. "You're hopeless." Her words burned, but before I could shrink back, she added quietly, "Don't worry. You'll get it. It just takes time." Those last words hit differently. They weren't mocking, they were almost encouraging. For the first time since she had walked in on me, I felt a flicker of hope. Emily stepped back and studied me again. "Okay, sit at the vanity. Makeup time." My pulse jumped. "Makeup?" "Yes, makeup," she said firmly, pulling out a collection of brushes, powders, and palettes. "You already smeared on Mom's lipstick like a kid with crayons. If you're going to do this, you're going to learn properly." I sat down in front of the mirror, my reflection staring back at me nervously. Emily loomed behind me like a drill sergeant, her expression serious. "This is foundation," she said, holding up a small bottle. "It evens out your skin tone. You'll learn how to apply it so it doesn't look like a mask. Watch carefully." As she dabbed and blended, I felt the brush strokes across my cheeks, foreign yet strangely soothing. My face slowly transformed under her practiced hands, the uneven blotches replaced with smoothness. Next came eyeliner, mascara, a touch of blush, and finally a subtle shade of lipstick. Each step felt like a ritual, a layering of something fragile and beautiful over the scared boy underneath. When she finished, she stepped back.
There. Look.
I turned toward the mirror and gasped. The person staring back at me wasn't just me in makeup. It was someone else.
Softer.
Braver. A version of me I didn't know could exist. Wow. I whispered, my chest tightening. Emily's lips curved into the faintest smile. Not bad. Not bad at all. For a long time, I couldn't look away from the mirror. My own eyes stared back at me, yet the face surrounding them felt almost unfamiliar. The soft strokes of blush, the carefully lined eyes, the neat hair Emily had pinned back with a clip, it all combined into something I never imagined I'd see. My throat tightened, and I blinked quickly to stop the tears threatening to spill. Is that really me? I whispered. Emily crossed her arms, her expression guarded, but her voice carried a trace of pride.
Yeah.
That's you. With a little work, anyway. I let out a shaky breath, my fingers twitching as though I wanted to reach out and touch the mirror. I don't even know how to say it. Different. Better. Like, I belong. Emily tilted her head, watching me closely. Don't get too carried away. Makeup isn't magic. It doesn't fix everything. Maybe not, I admitted, my voice trembling, but for the first time, I don't hate what I see. The words slipped out before I could stop them, raw and unfiltered. Emily's eyes softened, her posture easing slightly. You hated what you saw before? She asked quietly. I hesitated, then nodded.
Yeah.
Every time I looked in the mirror, it felt like I was staring at a stranger. Like the reflection wasn't mine. But this, I gestured toward my face, the skirt brushing softly against my knees. This feels closer. Like I can finally breathe. Emily didn't reply immediately. Instead, she sat down on the bed, folding her arms in thought. I used to think makeup was just fun. A way to look pretty for school or parties. I never imagined it could mean something this serious for someone else. Her voice carried a tone I hadn't heard before. Not mockery, not resistance, but reflection. I turned in the chair to face her. I know it's a lot to take in. I never wanted to dump this on you like some big secret, but I couldn't hide it forever. Emily let out a dry laugh. Well, you definitely didn't hide it. I mean, I literally walked in on you raiding my closet? I winced, embarrassed. Yes, sorry about that. For the first time that day, she smiled genuinely, though small. It's okay. I guess there are worse things than having a brother who looks better in eyeliner than half the girls at school. Heat rushed to my cheeks. You don't mean that. Oh, I mean it, she said, smirking. Look at you. If I didn't know better, I'd think Mom had another daughter. The words should have stung, but instead they sent a strange warmth through me. I didn't know if I was ready to accept that label, but hearing it made me feel seen in a way I'd never experienced. Mom's voice floated up the stairs then. Everything all right up there? Emily called back. Yeah, we're fine. She glanced at me and added, more or less. I laughed weakly, wiping the corners of my eyes before any tears could ruin the carefully applied makeup. Emily leaned back on the bed, sighing. So what now, Alex? Are you going to keep this a secret forever? Or are you planning to tell people eventually? The question hit hard. My stomach tightened. I don't know. I can barely stand telling myself. Telling you is terrifying enough. I can't imagine what Dad or anyone else would say. Her gaze softened again, and this time she didn't cover it with sarcasm. Well, at least you don't have to figure it out alone. I'll help you, as long as you're honest with me from now on. Emotions surged in my chest, and my voice cracked as I whispered, Thank you. Emily shrugged, but her smile lingered. Don't thank me yet. You've got a lot to learn. Walking in heels, picking outfits that actually match, not looking like you're carrying the weight of the world when you stand. I'm going to be tough on you. Something inside me steadied. For the first time, I felt like I had an ally. Then I'll do my best. I promise. Her smirk returned.
Good.
Because if you mess up my good blouse, I'm charging you for it. I laughed through the tears, a laugh that felt lighter than anything I'd managed in weeks. For the first time, I believed that maybe, just maybe, this strange, terrifying journey wouldn't break me. Emily didn't waste time. She stood up from the bed and walked straight to her closet, sliding the door open with a purposeful shove. "If you're serious about this," she said over her shoulder, "then you're learning the hardest part first." I frowned nervously. The hardest part? She emerged holding a pair of glossy black heels with straps that gleamed under the light. The heels looked impossibly tall, sharp like weapons. My stomach dropped. "You can't be serious," I muttered. "Oh, I'm dead serious," Emily replied, smirking as she placed them on the floor in front of me. "Anyone can throw on a dress. But heels? That separates the pretenders from the real deal." My knees felt weak just looking at them. "I'll fall." "Probably," she said with a shrug. "That's why we practice." Mom's voice floated faintly from downstairs, but she didn't come up. Emily lowered her voice a little. "Relax. It's just us. No one's judging." That reassurance gave me just enough courage to slip my feet into the shoes. The straps hugged my ankles tightly, forcing me upright in a way I wasn't used to. When I stood, I wobbled immediately, arms flailing for balance. Emily laughed, not cruelly, but amused. "Oh my God, you look like a baby giraffe learning how to walk." "Not helping," I snapped, trying not to topple over. "Fine, fine," she said, holding up her hands.
Here.
"Watch me first." She slipped effortlessly into another pair of heels, standing tall and poised. "The trick," she explained, walking across the room with elegance, "is to lead with your hips, not your knees.
Small steps.
Straight posture. Don't stomp, glide." Her movements were fluid, graceful, as though her body had been designed for this. I tried to copy her, but the first step nearly sent me crashing into the vanity. Emily caught me by the arm, steadying me.
Easy.
"Don't lean forward so much. Pretend you're balancing a book on your head." I straightened, wobbling again but not falling. My second step was clumsy, but steadier than the first. "That's better," she said with a nod. "Now keep going." I shuffled across the carpet, my legs shaking, my arms awkwardly outstretched like a tightrope walker. Each step felt like a mountain, but Emily clapped slowly.
"See?
"You're not completely hopeless." Her encouragement, faint as it was, sparked a small flicker of pride in me. By the time I reached the far side of the room, I was sweating from concentration. "Okay," Emily said, walking over to adjust my posture again. "You're hunched. Shoulders back. Chin up. Own it, Alex. If you act like you don't belong, everyone will see it. Confidence sells the illusion." Her words struck deeper than I expected. Confidence. I had none of it, not in school, not at home, not in life. Yet somehow, with her guiding me, I wanted to find it. I took another step, then another, until my stride grew slightly less awkward. When I turned back toward the mirror, I hardly recognized myself. Not perfect, but different. Stronger, somehow. Emily grinned. "Not bad. You're already better than half the freshmen at school who try to copy TikTok models." I rolled my eyes, but couldn't help smiling. "I still feel ridiculous." "Good," she replied. "Feeling ridiculous is the first step to eventually feeling natural." The words lingered in my mind, and I realized she wasn't just talking about heels. We practiced for nearly half an hour, with me stumbling and swaying, and Emily alternating between teasing and correcting me. By the end, my calves burned and my feet ached, but I managed to walk a short stretch without wobbling once. Emily gave a slow clap. "Look at you." My clumsy little brother finally standing tall. I flushed, unsure if I should be proud or embarrassed. "Thanks, I guess." Her smirk softened into something warmer. "You've got potential, Alex. More than I expected." The compliment caught me off guard, but before I could respond, the sound of footsteps creaked on the stairs. My stomach dropped instantly. Emily froze too, her eyes darting to the door. We hadn't closed it all the way. The footsteps grew louder. It wasn't Mom. It was Dad.